This is really personal. I've only shared this with a couple of people, but I want to share it with you because I think it's going to be encouraging for you. So I had this dream the other night, and in the dream, I was in this river, and I don't know if I was in a raft or if I was just floating down the river, but I knew that I was exactly where I needed to be. Like, I wasn't necessarily scared to be in the river. Like, there was a lot of joy there. It was like the place that God had created for me to be. You know, it was perfect. But floating down the river, I knew that there were rocks coming. And in my dream, I was having a good time, but it was rocky. Like, there was these boulders, and I didn't see them, but I knew that there was these boulders coming, and I was so afraid that I was going to run against one of these boulders, and that I was going to hit my head, or that I was going to get hurt, or that I was going to die, that I was going to fall. And in my dream, I just heard God say over and over again, like, don't look downstream. Don't worry about the rocks. Like, don't worry about the obstacles that are coming. Just keep your eye on me, because I'm the source of the river. Like, I'm the one that's put you here in this river, and I control it. And I'm the one that's going to control where you go and what obstacles you go over. And he just said, just keep your eye on me. Don't look downstream. Look upstream at me. And that meant so much to me in a lot of ways, and I think it applies to a lot of us right now. You know, I just keep thinking about Psalm 23, which is this probably one of the most amazing chapters in all of the Bible, where David is writing, and this is David who was a shepherd himself, and so he gets what it's like to be someone who cares for sheep. I mean, David, even as like a little boy, you know, maybe 10 years old, 12 years old, was taking care of sheep, and he had protected them against lions. You know, he had protected them against bears. He had protected them against thieves, against all kinds of things that had come against those sheep, and he knew what it was like to be a shepherd and to care for his flock and to love his sheep. And so he writes this psalm, and in the beginning it's really amazing. He's like, oh, the Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. He leads me beside the quiet waters. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He restores my soul. And then he says this thing, and it's amazing that he included this, because if he was just trying to encourage us with this psalm, I don't think he would have included this. But I don't think he was just trying to encourage us. I think he was just trying to be real. He said, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, because you're with me. And he's kind of switching things around. He's saying, I'm not the shepherd anymore. He's the shepherd, and I'm the sheep now. And he said, you know what? No matter where you lead me, God, I'm going to trust you, because this is your river, because you're the one who put me here. And I'm going to keep my eyes on you. And it's interesting that he says, even though you lead me through the valley of the shadow of death. The funny thing about shadows, and I remember like when I was a little kid trying to jump on my shadow and like high-fiving my shadow and being fascinated with shadows. The funny thing about shadows is they look like the real thing. A shadow of death looks like death, and then maybe it feels like death. And if you look at it from just the right angle, you might even think it's really death. And I think that there are some of you right now that are going through this. Like, you look at the situation that you're in right this moment, and you think that it's death. You think that it is the end. You think that everything is going down. I just want to tell you, listen, you have a shepherd that puts you into this thing in the first place. And he got you into this river into the first place. And he is not planning on leaving you alone. He doesn't lead you through the valley of death. He doesn't. Now, you might be in the valley of the shadow of death right now. There may be some of you who are in a funk in your business for the first time, and you've never been in a funk before. And it's like, it looks scary and it feels scary. But I just want to tell you right now, it is a shadow. And the thing that scares me is that there are some sheep that get into the valley of the shadow and they freak out and they run away. And what are they doing? They're running away from the shepherd. Because the shepherd is still in the valley of the shadow of death. He's with you. His rod and his staff are there to comfort you, like the psalm says. But if you run back and if you run away and if you quit and you throw in the towel, you're running away from where the shepherd led you. And you're not trusting that he knows where you need to be right now, even if it's a funk, even if there's a shadow, even if it's scary. Because I promise you that he is for you and not against you. and that he's not going to lead you to death. He might lead you through the valley of the shadow of death, but in the end, you're going to find out it was just a shadow. And when you get through the valley, if you're faithful enough, if you're brave enough to just keep moving forward and get through the valley, you're going to find out. What does David say in the end of the psalm? Like, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for you're with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. What does he say next? You prepared a table before me in the presence of my enemies. In other words, when I got out of that, I feasted. My cup overflowed. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I am so glad that I stayed in the valley, even though it was scary, even though I wasn't sure if it was death or just the shadow of death. I stayed in there, and I kept walking, because if I would have jetted and gone back, I would have never made it to the feast. I would have never made it to the place where my cup overflowed. I would have never been able to say that surely goodness and love followed me all the days of my life. And that's the thing. Some of you are there right now. Listen, in business, in any kind of thing, we're church planting and we're in business. There's always funks that you go through. It's a shadow. It's not death, I promise you. If you're in It Works right now and you're watching this, listen, the company is doing fantastic. There are some announcements coming for Mark. The business is about to grow internationally in some amazing ways. And the best is yet to come. But if you freak out because of the shadow right now and you jet, you're going to miss it. And you're going to walk away from the shepherd who I believe led you to this place in the first place. You got to listen to him. You got to wait on him. You got to trust him. Listen, this is the last thing I'm going to say. Isaiah says this. Those who wait on the Lord will have new strength. They will rise on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not grow faint. And we quote that verse a lot, but what does the very first part say? Those who wait on the Lord. Another way to say that is those who trust him. Those who trust him. Those who follow his lead will renew their strength. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not grow faint. They will soar on wings like eagles. And I fear that we miss that soaring part, that we don't soar on wings like eagles, that we don't win, because somewhere in the valley of the shadow of death, we stop waiting on him. We stop trusting him. We stop believing that this is where he led me to. And you know what? When I follow God, like, the path is not perfect. The path is narrow. And sometimes it's rocky. And sometimes it's tough. He didn't promise me that it would be easy. He promised me, though, that he would be with me all along the way. And I just want some of you guys to know, like, don't give up now. He's with you. He hasn't left you. He didn't lead you this far to make a fool of you. He didn't lead you this far into this business for you to quit now and look like a fool in front of your family and your friends. That's not why he did this. He has led you to a place where he's testing your faith, and you're in the valley of the shadow, but you gotta believe it's nothing more than a shadow. You gotta believe that you're gonna get out on the other side and that your cup is gonna overflow. You gotta believe that you're going to soar on wings like eagles if you'll just wait on him, if you'll just trust him. I just feel like from the bottom of my heart, listen, this is bigger than a business. For some of you, your destiny, like your calling, is tied up in how he's brought you through this business. And if you gave up now, you're going to miss something. If you stopped running now, you're going to miss something that God has for you. You're going to miss a lesson. You're going to miss a blessing. You're going to miss something that he has. The only reason we're saying this, we're doing this Periscope right now, is because some of you, your legacy is on the line. And I just don't want to see you give up and run away and miss out on something amazing that God has for you. I hope you feel this. I'm on the edge of tears, honestly, right now, because I care so much. Like, I don't even know you that are watching this, but I care so much about your heart and about your future. And if God has destined you, if he puts you in this river, if he's the one who put you in this crazy river, then just keep your eyes on him and just keep going downstream. Just keep doing what you got to do and trust him, because there's going to be another side to this, and it's going to get better, and it's going to be better than you could have imagined. That's how he works. So, I don't know. Rachel and I care about you. We just want to keep this short and sweet, but it's been really heavy on our hearts, especially right now at the end of the month. I hope you hear this, and I hope it speaks to you, and that you'll just keep on moving and keep on trusting.
That was so good. Thank you.